Okay, well, hello, my crochet friends. How are you guys doing today? So for me, today is Wednesday, August 26th, 2026. When I told you guys I wanted to work from my project pile and get some of my projects done, it's either finish them or frog them, whatever. I meant all the stuff in upstairs in my bedroom. It's in bins. In the hallway outside my bedroom, it's in bins. That's in my new yarn closet. I meant to do all the old stuff. The stuff I started in 2015 and didn't finish. Wasn't talking about my new project pile, which is sitting on my new desk. So that's what today's video is. We are going to talk about a blanket that I just finished making last night. The pattern is corner to corner. I love corner to corner. Who doesn't? Right? 3 double crochets, just like you do in a granny, right? Chaining, slip stitching, the easiest thing in the world. And you work it from one corner to the other, right? Now, have you guys ever tried to work a corner to corner blanket with not one solid color? Well, I did it in one solid color more than 20 years ago. I started it in white. And I wanted to be as big as like a queen size bed. Halfway through, I ran out of all the white that I had in my stash. I went out to the store, whether it was AC Moore or Joann's, Michael's, Walmart, wherever I happened to be shopping all those many years ago. I bought more white. And it was Red Heart Super Saver, who typically with their solid colors doesn't do dye lots because their dye lots have been very consistent over the years. So I bought some more white so I could finish the corner to corner blanket, right? I was giving it as a gift to someone. And because way back in the day when the kids were babies and toddlers, I was crocheting at night and it's pretty dark in the house. So even though the color was white, I never noticed there was a difference in the dye lot. It was not until I had finished that blanket, I'd seen it in the daylight to realize the first half of it was clean, bright white. The second half of it was, the best I can say is a dirty white. It was definitely different than the white I had, even though the yarn label said Red Heart Super Saver white. You know? It wound up being, yeah, I guess dirty's the only way I can say it, because it wasn't a creamy white. It wasn't an off-white. It wasn't a soft white. It was just a bit darker than the bright, clean white. I was so frustrated. It took me a long time before I decided to do another corner-to-corner blanket after that. I was so discouraged and so frustrated with the yarn companies, even the ones that say dye lots don't matter because we are so consistent with the way we dye our yarn. So I decided then that I didn't really want to do corner to corner unless I had enough yarn, all the same color, all the same dye lot, to get all the way through to the end of the blanket. Now, with corner to corner, sometimes it's very hard to judge, especially if you're not working from a written pattern where a designer had gone through it and figured out all the yardage that you needed or all the meters and had done it in different sizes to figure out how much yarn you needed, right? So I have also started a corner to corner in where I have, like, let's say I have 7 skeins of one color, right? It doesn't matter if it was variegated or a solid, like a white. I had 7 skeins, right? So I decided that I was going to go halfway and then do the decrease and then go the other half, okay? And I'm like, okay, well, you got 7, so 3.5 skeins to do your increases, and that should get you to the halfway mark. And then the other 3.5 should be able to do the decreases to get you to the other half of the blanket. No. No. I did it once. I did it twice. I did it 3 times. Okay. I never had enough to get to the end. 7 skeins of yarn, and I was still 5 rows short, 12 rows short. So it's like a triangle that I didn't have enough yarn. And a lot of times the yarn in my stash is older, so it's not like I can get that same color again, that either the yarn's been discontinued or the color's been discontinued. And so there have been so many times in the past that I've had to frog my corner to corners because I could never quite get the halfway point to the blanket right. Going from that first little block and then going on a diagonal and getting to what I would think would be the midway point based on how many skeins of yarn I had. So it's actually been a while since I've made a corner to corner, but I came up with a way that I think now works for me, where I start one corner, do all my increases for 20 rows, 30 rows, 50 rows, and then I stop when I run out of the yarn. And then I start in the other corner and work my way up to the equivalent of if I stopped here at 20 rows or 30 rows or 50 rows, and I stop with the second one. And then I put them together and crochet them together. Yeah? I know, it puts a little bit of a thing where I crocheted them together, but it works for me. And you know, because I tie everything that I crochet into what happens in my real life. So I consider it to be like a broken kind of thing. You know, you get to the end of your 3 skeins of yarn, it's got this jagged edge to it because that's how a corner to corner looks when it's not finished. And then when you take the 2 pieces and you put them together and you crochet them, yeah, there's still a jagged edge there that looks like a scar, but now it's healed, now it's fixed, and now it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, so I kind of relate that to my own life and my lifelong battle with depression and anxiety, that I've been broken, but I've also been fixed. Do I find myself beautiful like the blankets when I'm done? No. No, I don't. You know, look at me, come on. So I don't see myself that way, but I do see myself as being broken and put back together. So that's what I did with this blanket. For me, this is the broken corner to corner that's been put back together, because you see this pretty color here? The other half of the blanket is a completely different color. How did I do that? Thanks to my mom, who gave me some yarn, and it wasn't enough. And then she gave me some more yarn, and it wasn't enough. And then I put the 2 together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you guys around, and I'm going to lay the blanket out, and I will give you some details on it. Ooh, like how big it is. I haven't measured it yet. I should do that. Okay, so give me a minute to switch you guys around, and we'll talk about the details on this blanket, okay? Okay, my friends, I just measured the blanket, and just the corner to corner part is 42 inches, and it's square. Add in the border that I made, and it's 46 inches, okay? Okay, I started this blanket on Thursday, July 23rd, so it's taken me a couple weeks to make it. And I started the border actually just yesterday on the 25th. So normally I time myself when I do this, but because the corner to corner, the rows get bigger and bigger and bigger, they're not all the same size, I can make 5 3 double crochet clusters in 1 minute, so I can always count it that way if I wanted to. So I used an old school boy crochet hook. It's 5mm or an H. This is my favorite hook of all time. I grew up with the boy aluminum hooks. I don't have a problem with them. I mean, I used to back in the day, but not anymore. Sometimes it would bother my hands, but not anymore. So the boy is my favorite hook of all time. So the yarn this blanket started out with yarn from my mom. She got yarn from Hirschner's, which is the online company now. It used to be a mail order company. They have this worsted weight yarn, so it's a number 4 medium worsted weight, and it's called Bee Stripey, and it's 100% acrylic, right? It is 4.3 ounces or 121 grams. 227 yards, 208 meters. They recommended a size J or a 6mm hook, which I think is too big. And so, of course, the color is, for this purple and green, it's called Enchantment. And the thing is, I had been at my mom's a couple weeks ago, and she's like, I got this yarn from Hirschner's. When it came in, I decided I didn't like it. Do you want it? And I'm like, I love variegated colors. So this color is what she gave me. She gave me 3 skeins. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful. So I just stuck it in my stash until I could figure out what I wanted to do with it, right? A couple weeks after I'd been there, I went back to see my mom because my mom's sister, which is my aunt, was in town. And we haven't seen each other in a while, so I went over to visit. Mom's like, oh, I've got 3 more, but in a different color. Do you want them? I'm like, sure. So she gave me 3 skeins of blue willow. And that is this blue and green color. So after I got that, I'm like, you know what? Let me do my thing that I like to do with corner to corner and do the green and purple up until I run out of yarn. Then I'll do the blue and green until I run out of yarn, and then I will stitch them together with whatever kind of yarn I've got in my stash. So that's what I did. I also made a little 3 round granny square of each color because I would like to stick this in the wash, stick it in the dryer, and see how they wash up and what they look like over time. Because, you know, as crocheters, sometimes we make these things and we sell them or we give them to people, but we don't actually know what they look like after they've been washed and dried and used, you know, because brand new yarn is always so pretty. But what does yarn look like after it's been washed, after it's been dried, after the kids have dragged it around the house making a fort, or the cats have laid on it, you know? So I want to start seeing what this yarn looks like, all of my yarn actually, what it looks like after it's been used in a normal way. Not used and abused, but just used in a normal way. So I made these with the size 5mm hook or the H, okay, and they came out 2 different sizes because these yarns, even though they're the same, the blue green, the what they call it, blue willow versus the enchantment, the blue willow is a little thicker. I would say it's more of a 4.5, while this is a very light 4. So they did come up a little bit different in size, and I know you guys can't see it, but I can. Oh, wait, there you go. You see? That blue willow in the back is just a little bit bigger. Okay, so I got 51 rows out of both colors. But when I got to row 51 with the enchantment, it was like 51 and maybe like 10 clusters. And when I got to row 51 with the blue willow, it was row 51 plus like 20 clusters. So I got just a little bit more out of the blue willow than I did the enchantment. I also, with the blue willow, got way more factory knots. There was at least 3 factory knots in each skein. I got so frustrated by the time I was done working with this color. And it was that alone where I would not recommend this yarn to anybody because of the factory knots. I had at least 1 factory knot in each skein of the enchantment color. So 1 in each skein was fine. That's okay. I can live with that. But when it was 4 in each skein, that was 12 manufacturer knots right there. So I got really frustrated with it towards the end. So there we go. I made a corner to corner with enchantment, which I really do love this color. I love the purples and the greens together. And where the purple kind of lightens up a little bit, it's got some, maybe like a pinkish fuchsia to it. And then this has got a little bit of blue to it. Can you see that? So that blue there helps it tie in really well to the blue willow in the back here, yeah? And then my border. I did a round of single crochets and chains. So I did a single crochet in between the clusters, and then a chain 2, did a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and went all the way around in this green color that I have from Big Twist, which was a Joann's brand of yarn. Big Twist Value in this juniper shrub that I've been using this for a Christmas tree skirt. And this is what I have left over from the skirt. And I thought this color, while it doesn't match really well with the green in the enchantment, it does go pretty well because the blue willow has like different shades of green. So I thought it would work. So I used this on the first round of the border. And I also used it when I stitched the 2 halves of the corner to corner together. I wound up with the darker bit of the green throughout stitching it together. It started off really light and then it just moved to that darker shade of green pretty much to the other end, yeah. Almost. And then it went back to the lighter shade of green. And then on the border, I had been, oops, sorry, I just kicked the tripod. I have big feet. I went out to Hobby Lobby. They were having their yarn that's 30% off. I love this yarn in the color Deep Sea Diving. I bought 4 skeins because I wanted to leave. I wasn't sure how big I was going to go on the border. So I thought this blue would work well with the blue here in the blue willow half. But only this little bit right here. This is kind of like a tealy color, and then there's the darker blue, and then there's the lighter blue. It only matches with this, but it was just enough, you know, it was just enough. So I did 2 rounds where I did 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. If I did 3 double crochets, like a granny or like the corner to corner, it was too much, and it was starting to ripple. So I did 2 double crochets, no chains, just 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, till I got to the corner, and I did 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. All right. On the next round, I was still using this Deep Sea Blue from Hobby Lobby. I did 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in the corner, but it had tightened up a little bit on this row. So when I did these 2 double crochets, I did chain 1 and then 2 double crochets and chain 1, and that actually helped balance this out because the border had started pulling in a little bit. So then that actually loosened it up for me. And then after these rounds of the double crochets, I went back to single crochets. I did 2 rounds of single crochets in the juniper shrub. So there's 5 rounds on the border. But I think it worked out really well, though. I'm actually, when I sit down to do the border, it's just whatever I feel like in the moment, you know? And I know there's a weird way to do it, but works for me sometimes. I don't overthink it. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Just do whatever works for the blanket that I'm currently working on. So, let's see. This angle is kind of hard for my camera. Well, maybe I should take it off. Here we go. Let's take it off the tripod. Is that better? Oh yeah, that's better. Okay. I got all the lights on in the house. So you see shadows, yeah? All right, so there we go. I really do love the green and the purple together in this color enchantment. It worked out really well. And the blanket, the yarn is squishy. I love the squishiness factor of the yarn. Okay. And then here's my joining row. It is single crochets. Let's see if I can get a close-up of what I did. Maybe in the lighter bits. Hold on. I might need 2 hands for this. All right, so what I did was, here in this cluster, there's 3 double crochets. On the other side, there will be the chain 3. Okay, that gave you your height to start the next cluster on the other side. So I did a single crochet through the first double and into the chain space. In the second double, into the chain space. Into the third double, into the chain space. And it gave me this zigzag look because I made sure all of the clusters on this side attached to the corresponding cluster on the other side, if that makes any sense. It is a little bit, because when I was working on it, I did have to turn my work like this so I could see where I was putting those stitches. But I do like that I used up 3 skeins here. I used 3 skeins here. And I used some yarn in my stash and some new yarn that I bought. That's fine because it'll just go into my stash. It's not going to go waste. It's not going to go to waste. And then here's what my corners look like. I think it came out beautiful. Putting the 2 colors together like this. Like if I tried to do this, alternating them, I never would have gotten it right. Because the math never works out for me that way. Let's turn it around. I'll show you the blue willow. Oh, and I think I did all my yarn tails already, but what you're seeing here are stitch markers. I was going to put a stitch marker everywhere there was a manufacturer's knot, but I ran out of stitch markers because there were so many. So there's one here, there's one here. I kept moving them around. Yeah, all right. There's one over here because there's the part of that, because I redid the knot. I cut out the manufacturer's knot, I redo it myself, and then I weave it in. So these are just little tail ends I have to cut. So I know that the blue willow is darker than this color over here, but I think it still works really well together. What do you guys think? Did I do okay? Or was it like completely crazy and off the rails? What do you say? I'll go spread this out on the couch and you can get the full effect. So what do you guys think? I know, like when I look at it, I know that this is more muted and this is kind of a bit brighter in your face, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It's kind of like the meadow with flowers, and it's kind of like the lake with the water. I don't know. And see how it created a little bit of a zigzag in the middle to put the two together? So, my friends, honest opinion, do you like it or do you hate it? All right, let me take these stitch markers out. I need to buy some more stitch markers. I like these little locking ones. I think these are from Boy. I have the small set and I have a big set. But I have a tendency to leave my stitch markers in projects. And since I've got projects that are in my project pile that are 10 years old, more than likely that's where all my stitch markers are. I did buy a set like that from Hobby Lobby, but I don't like them because they break. They are these little see-through plastic ones. They look like diamonds or jewels, you know. Let's see. See that? But they break. Every time I go to close it and I go to lock it, it breaks. So I have to get rid of them. I don't even want to bother with them until they break because they're just going to break, you know. So 6 skeins of yarn came into my house in the last couple weeks, and 6 skeins have now been used. Yeah, I've decided I want to start keeping track of all the yarn that comes into the house versus all the yarn that actually gets used. This is more yarn for another yarn haul video, but there's a lot. I've been finding a lot of good yarn at the thrift store lately, and I've got a lot of ideas that are coming to me a little faster than I can work them. So I am writing notes down on some of it. Some of it I am buying the yarn so I can start working up a little sample to see if I'm going in the right direction with my idea. But sometimes my brain just moves way faster than everything else, and I've got to get it to slow down sometimes, you know? So yeah, project from my new project pile that's been sitting on my desk. So it's done. I have more projects that I have started in the last couple weeks, because for the first time in my life, when I was working on this one, I was working on 3 other blankets and a hat, and I've been using cotton to make a bag. So for the first time in my life, I've started one, worked on another, worked on another, worked on another. I don't typically do that. When I start a project, I usually work it all the way to the end and then put it in a pile and leave it sit for 10 years. I've actually done well, this one's done. I've got 2 other blankets that are done. I've got 3 bags that are done, a hat that needs finishing touches, a scarf that I need your opinion on if I need more length to it, and another blanket that when I'm done here with you guys, I'm going to go sit and work on tonight. So I've actually been following through, and I'm like, did I finally figure it out? I don't know. Should I pat myself on the back? I don't know. I damaged this rotator cuff too. You guys remember when I started my channel back in 2022, because I had torn the rotator cuff of my left arm, and it was already damaged before I had started my channel. I was at that stage where I wasn't supposed to use it for like a year to let it heal because we didn't want to do surgery. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just talk about crochet in front of the camera instead of actually doing it. Well, don't you know, it's like 4 years later, and I damaged my right one, but there was no thing that said, okay, I did something and oh, that hurt and I tore the rotator cuff. No, I think it's just repeated movements with this shoulder, and I think that's what happened. So I actually went and saw an ortho doctor this time, an orthopedic doctor, and then I went to physical therapy, and then in the process of doing physical therapy, I actually tore the muscle in my shoulder blade doing the physical therapy movements because my therapist thought I looked strong. Tore a muscle, had to take another 2 weeks off, you know. So the rotator cuff is better. It's still, I had a cortisone injection, the physical therapy, but again, because we don't want to do surgery because it wasn't damaged beyond repair. We don't want to do surgery. We want it to let it heal on its own. So I am finding some crochet movements to be hard, but not all. But I've been working on projects and I've been actually staying focused and getting them done instead of just, I don't know, whatever I've done in the past when the ideas just come so fast all the time. And I'm learning to slow down, write down some of the ideas, so this way they're not bothering me anymore. And I'm working some of them, and then while I'm trying to work through all of my older ones. So I think that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully it was not too chaotic. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully you guys like my blanket and you don't think I'm totally crazy with the way I did this. If you guys want more details on it, or if I missed anything, ask me in the comments down below. If you want me to make another one like this and walk you through my process on how I do it, because you guys might want to try it, let me know and I'll put that on my list of videos to try to get done and show you, because I think some of the yarn in my yarn stash would actually work well with doing a corner to corner like this. And I love the border. I think the border came out so well. I mean, you know, sometimes with the border, it will backfire on you. But this one, it's got such beautiful shaping to it. It didn't, while it did pull in a little bit, I was able to fix it on the next round. And it's not floppy. It's not too tight. It's not too dense. I thought the border came out beautiful on it. So it's like, I want to go find more yarn to do a corner to corner like this, just so I can do the border, because it was so much fun and it worked out for me. Yeah, so I do have, since I have 2 other blankets that are done, they're the same kind of yarn. They are the same pattern. They're baby blankets. Yeah, let's call them baby blankets for the moment. I have some yarn tails I have to do on them, and some measurements and some notes, because like I had all my notes together for this one today. I'll get all that together and we'll do that video next, okay? Before we get to the older stuff in my project pile that I showed you guys back in like 2024 or 2025, we will get to all of that, because all of those projects are still sitting in my house and I need to work through them. So you know how much I love you guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.